Hello, this is Jessica Duke with How Do You Duke, and you're most likely watching this video because you have a preschooler that you would love to have just experience nature journaling and learn from it. I am a mother of 7 children and I homeschool, and nature journaling is one of our main pillars of our homeschool. And so here are a couple things that have worked for us. One of the main things is to have realistic expectations. Say, for instance, in this painting over here, Natalie is drawing bears, and it's called The Woods, and she was 3. And there are bears in this picture. You just can't see them because they're camouflaged. Watch out, because this picture might bite you. And so even though there's absolutely no visible bear in there, she's learning things. She's making those connections in her head. She's like, there's relationships between things like woods and bears, and she's learning so much. She's able to paint with her hands, those fine motor skills. This is excellent work for a 3-year-old. So with that being said, a lot of times I see a lot of parents getting frustrated when their kid makes things like over here where it really doesn't look like much, does it? But in their mind, it is something. And a lot of times what I do during these times is I will just ask them questions about it, ask them questions about what is in their picture, what it's doing, what it eats, where it's going, all of those kind of things. And that just kind of opens up a whole entire new world. I have found that the preschool age for nature journaling is super fun because it's like every single discovery is the best thing that has ever happened to them in their life. Like, they make like an indentation in Play-Doh with an acorn cap and see that pattern, and it is just like mind blowing for them. And so it's so much fun to see. I just had to add this cute picture because this was the first picture that Natalie drew and painted where it actually was super recognizable. Like, that is totally a frog, and I can see a frog. And this just kind of started a really, really fun journey for us. One thing that is super smart to do if you have a preschooler that has a hard time concentrating, sitting still, or has like confidence issues, or like has a negative idea towards art, like it's going to take too long, or things like that, is to draw the same exact thing beside them, because it forces them to slow down. It kind of eases their mind. It makes it doable because it's special time with mom or dad. So say, for instance, in these pictures up here, Natalie drew the same thing as my husband over there, and they just went slowly together, like, okay, let's draw this wing, then let's draw this wing. And now, oh, do you see those segments? Can we count them? And 1, 2, 3. And so then, like, they would put each segment and just slowly get all of those details, calling out details, asking them, like, what do you notice? What is the difference between that top wing and the bottom wing? Let's show that in our drawings. Things like that just really, really help kids slow down and really, really sharpen those observational skills. This is one that I did with Natalie. Obviously, I did take longer after she got done, and I added a lot more detail to mine. But so we got those basic shapes down, so our proportions were correct, and learning all about that. And you can see in this picture, so if I make a line up like this, the beak kind of goes at this angle. At first, Natalie had her beak going up at this angle, and I was actually able to just like grab her hand and be like, can you show me on that we were using an example photo, like, can you show me with your hand which way that beak is going in the photo, and she was able to go like that, and then I was able to drag it over to her paper, and so she could make that connection and that relationship between things where she could figure out those angles, and where that just really helps being able to do that one-on-one with them, where you're able to kind of like work through those like hard concept ideas as they come up. Another really important thing is to keep art, nature journaling, everything to do with kind of your child's creative side, very upbeat, positive, very encouraging. I think a lot of adults that have a really negative idea about art, the ones that say, oh, I can't draw a straight line to save my life. I think we've all heard that before. Were really harshly criticized, or their art was seen in a negative light when they were young, and then they just started really identifying as somebody who just sucked at art. And that's really sad, where any typically developing human, if they can learn how to read and write, they can learn how to draw. Art is actually a learned skill and not just a natural talent. And so keeping things upbeat and positive gives them like the encouragement to keep going, gives them confidence, and like seeing like this time in a positive light does so much to making it a really great experience. We're getting into some really good stuff right now. So every single time with all of my kids, what I do is I ask them 3 very good questions when they're nature journaling. I ask them, what do you notice? What do you wonder? And what does it remind you of? And these questions just are very intentional in forming connections in their brain. They are forming relationships between them where their recall is going to be exponentially better because they have kind of a story, a feeling, a question attached to that information. And so say for instance, with this bald eagle that Natalie drew, I wonder if it's hungry. We saw them on light poles. I wonder why their beak isn't orange. I noticed that it is big. It reminds me of white hair like a grandma. And those might seem silly to you, but that is really making those connections where they are going to be learning so much and want to be curious thinkers. Another thing that I should mention is we don't always do the art part. We don't always even have a notebook with us. Like I very often will be going across something, a flower, an animal, a beautiful sunset, I mean, really, it could be about anything. It could be about a chair. It could be where like you say like, Natalie, what do you notice about this flower? What do you wonder about this sunset? What does this chair remind you of? Like, and being able to just do that audibly, like that is great too. I mean, it is wonderful if you can do it all together, but sometimes we just don't have the capacity at that moment to like bring out all of your things, even though having a go bag really, really does help in nature journaling to have it all set and ready. But sometimes we just don't have the capacity, and that is totally okay. It can still be an amazing learning moment. Here is some encouragement for you. In the beginning of this video, you did see some of Natalie's wonderful preschool work, and it was amazing. And she is 5 now, and we have been doing days and weeks and months and years of really good intentional art and nature study and observation and curious thinking. And it is a wonderful, beautiful thing to see just how much her skills have really improved, where she is able to draw what she actually sees and not what she thinks it should be, and getting those basic shapes correct so then she has her proportions correct, things like that. And just, it is amazing once you keep asking your kids the I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of questions, how like it comes like a second nature to them. They have no problems answering those questions. So I'll end with some encouragement for you. You're probably watching this video because you are interested in nature journaling with your preschooler, and I'm here to say that it is an amazing, amazing learning tool, wonderful, like just even relationship building with your kids, like or they're building relationships with the world around them. They're forming those connections. Like I said in the beginning, this is one of our very main pillars of our homeschool, and we have learned so much through nature journaling, even more just than art and animals or plants. Like so many broad ideas, we're able to like completely like form relationships between totally different things, and it's a wonderful and beautiful thing, and I really encourage you to keep going in it. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. I would love to answer them for you. Thank you for watching.